Look around you. Everyone has a reason to fight, and DedSec is open to anyone.
Anyone?
Welcome to the Resistance.
It's basically exactly what it sounds like. Everybody in the entire open world of the game can be recruited to your resistance movement in DedSec. It literally means that as you're walking down the street, it's the characters that you normally would be background characters or just there for flavor or whatever, like every single one of those people is real.
Moving towards play as anyone has given us an opportunity to really focus on what makes people different and what makes people unique and what makes individuals special. And London's people obviously are, the people who never surrender, and it was really, exciting for us to be able to embody those people and those characters in that context.
A lot of it goes back to the fantasy of the game, and when you look historically at resistance movements, there's usually not one or two heroes who do the whole thing. A lot of times it is, sort of ordinary people and doing extraordinary things in extraordinary circumstances. So we wanted to be true to the spirit of that. And it also, ever since Watch Dogs 1 even, that fantasy of being able to hack into people's lives and see them and get to know those people a little bit, we wanted to really take that to the logical conclusion about what if all of that was real? And what if those were real to the point of being your playable characters?
By being able to explore the design edges of that space, this character can do this, but they can't do that, or this character has this class, or that other character has these perks. It gives you all these different builds, all these different ways to play the game, and also all these different identities that you can explore and play with and be.
Depending on who the person is and what their opinion is, you've got to do different sort of story mission type things to get them onto the team. So each person has their own backstory of what you need to do to convince them that DedSec's the right thing for them. So we've got these dynamically constructed missions, we've got some rich story missions as well for these characters to go through, and you really do get a bit of an origin story to bring people onto your teams.
So for example, there was a character that I found, and I was just hanging out by the British Museum, and I was profiling people, and I found this archaeologist. Makes sense, they work at the British Museum, I look at their profile and they studied history and they have an Egyptology degree, and I'm like, okay, this is pretty standard archaeologist things, but then I look into their profile and I see what kind of things that they do, and they're being questioned by the police. Like, oh, that's interesting. It's not every day that an archaeologist is questioned by the police. And so I look at their schedule, and they go to work, they meet with their friends, they go out to eat, they meet with a detective investigating with them, and then at 3 a.m. every day, they go and they commit vandalism at the British Museum. So it's like, oh, I have a story now.
Everybody has what we call a trait, or which is basically a gameplay effect that is unique to them. And it also comes from their backstory. So if you see an ex-spy, an ex-MI5 spy or something like that, then, oh, he might be, have extra pistol damage. Or if you see someone who is an IT specialist, they might have some unique stuff that allows them to deal with drones better. And then you can start to scout out and be like, oh, that gameplay trait, I didn't really know what that was at the start, but oh, now I get how that could really help. I want one of those on my team.
Ian! We lost Ian. He's gone.
Watch Dogs Legion does have permadeath. Everyone in the world can die, including your own team. So we really wanted the stakes to feel very high. We're trying to take the subject matter of the game very seriously and give it real stakes. And so we don't want to do all this work to say, wow, these people in the world are simulated, they've got lives, they've got relationships, they've got histories and backstories and all this stuff. And then they come on your team and they're kind of like useless fodder that, that either can't die or, you don't care about. Like, people, when they go into these missions, again, these are ordinary people, so they do have the ability to die.
It has a sort of cascading effect on the world as well. If someone's getting blackmailed, I can go find the blackmailer and I can kill them if I want to, right? It's like solves their blackmail problem. They're not being blackmailed anymore because their blackmailer's dead. But because we are simulating all the characters in our game, and all these characters have complex interior lives, the blackmailer also had friends and family, and they're not gonna like it if DedSec killed their brother or their sister, right? The way you resolve these problems will have an effect on other characters. And sometimes you have to make a choice, right? If you see two people in an altercation and they're both interesting people and you want to recruit them both, you can, but their problem might be each other. So you have to sort of choose, okay, which one do I help now? And that means the other one's gonna have a much lower opinion of me. Then I have to do a whole bunch of work more if I want to raise their opinion again. And so it's sort of like this balance that's going on back and forth.
It puts an interesting pressure on the player to adapt to the tools that they have and to play with the systems in ways that aren't as degenerate, maybe driven by a single game design.